Thanks for
Good
joining.
morning.
Hi.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning,
Good
Johann.
morning.
Have you guys had your
Good morning.
espresso yet? I've got mine right here.
I've got mine.
Good for you.
Jason, what
I
about
have my
you?
water.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's not available in Canada yet. So
Oh, you'll have to get some out over here because I'd love to try it. But let's hop into it. No, not so much coffee related. Well, I guess kind of packaging related, coffee related. But Johann, let's
Yeah,
hop into it. Obviously, first
cool.
time, myself and Jeff have been joined by kind of another member of the team, and would love to kind
hmm
of, obviously introduce you, get some of your background. Do you maybe want to start with a little bit about your schooling, maybe first couple jobs, and how you kind of got involved?
Yeah, sure. Jason. Hi, Jeff. Hi, guys. Everyone. Okay, so my name is Johann. I was born in Johannesburg. I'm one of a twin. And yeah, so I moved around a lot, growing up. So I moved all around the country. I lived kind of everywhere in South Africa. From Joburg, we moved to KZN, which is KwaZulu-Natal, and from there the Free State, and then back again to Joburg, where I did my matric, which is basically your last year of high school. After matric, I kind of I took my gap year and went to the UK for 2 years, where I actually worked in a printing press, which was very interesting. And while working there, I was very interested in, how the printing industry works. And I think that's where I got my love for graphic design and beautiful layouts and all that kind of stuff. I spent 2 years there, and that kind of pushed me into the direction that I wanted to go, which is graphic design, art direction. So once I got back to Cape Town, I enrolled at Vega, which is a School of Brand Communications, and I specialize in visual communications and graphic design. I got my job at Cafe Lux within the coffee industry, moved back to Cape Town, and I was there for about 7-8 years, working specifically within the Nespresso compatible capsule market. So yeah, that's
so
a bit about
so
me and where I
right.
work.
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Mm,
So I had met Johann, let's just say about a year ago at Cafe Lux. Johann was working with some of our packaging design at the time, and I was spending much more time at Cafe Lux in the early days, getting to know the team and how everybody works and what everybody does. And I fell in love with this guy's work, and we communicated well via email. We got each other,
mm,
which was really important. And
yes.
then at the beginning of the lockdown in March, I get an email from Michael, the Michael who we'd also interviewed here from Cafe Lux,
Mm,
and Michael had said, real shitty news. He said Johann's, left Cafe Lux, and I went, oh my God, no way, right? So
mhm,
my first concern was, oh my God, where are we ever going to get a guy like that to design our stuff going forward? And so that was that. And, about a week or two goes by, and I'll let Johann kind of jump in and tell the rest of the story. But a week or two goes by, and I'm thinking, man, I got to reach out to Johann just on a personal level. He's a great
mm,
guy. We got along well. I just want to see what he's doing. It's the lockdown, and I want to see where
yeah.
his head is at and where he's going with his new career. I mean, I thought maybe he'd already had some kind of a new job lined up, and that's where he was heading.
Mm,
And from there, it was the exact same day
mm,
that Johann reached out to me that I was just about to reach out to Johann. Literally, I was about to send him a WhatsApp. And then what
mm,
happens is Johann sends me one. He's like, hey, buddy, do you have time for a chat?
mm,
I'm like, this is too weird. I'm just
mm,
about to send you the same text. So, Johann,
mm.
I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it was quite interesting. The reason I left Cafe Lux was I felt I needed a bit of change in my life, and I took a bit of a month holiday, as everyone, just to kind of reevaluate where you are within your career. And after a month, I got bored. I got really bored, and I thought, okay, where can I go from here? So I thought about all the private label jobs I did with Cafe Lux, and I thought, who can I approach? I was actually thinking of just doing some freelance work, for a few brands, just here and there, just to kind of expand my portfolio. And so actually the first person I thought was, and the first brand I actually thought was Jeff at Medespresso. And so I phoned Jeff, and we got a chatting, and everything just went so well. And he said, like, "Yo, why don't you come work for me?" And I'm like, "Of course." And I just thought, the CBD and the psilocybin industry, it's just booming at the moment. I thought this is the place I need to be, and this is where I'm going to expand my horizons and where I can actually learn a lot as well as giving back. I also really like the fact, that we are actually helping people. We're not just a, a company that, that's making products, just for profit. I really believe the work that that Jeff and Rami and the rest of the team is doing within M2Bio and MJ Medtech, it really connected with me on a personal level, because I really believe we as a graphic designer and as just people in the world, we have a responsibility, if we can, to help people. We should, and I felt like I could really do something good in this world by joining this amazing company. And yeah,
Hey, yeah.
Jeff was amazing, and yeah, so I'm all aboard.
And the kind of the moral of the story at the end of the day, Jason, was with Michael. No problems whatsoever. When I said, "Wow, what's Michael going to think?" And I said to Michael, I said, "Look, let's look at this as Johann is still in the league. He's just changed teams." So, and that's the great thing is Johann and Michael. I mean, there are no hard feelings whatsoever. They communicate all day long because they have to, because of what we do, and because they're great friends. So there were no
Yes.
hardships. Nothing went
No,
sour. Yeah, I mean, it's
no, not at
everyone is
all.
happy. But I'm delighted because we have Johann. We have Johann full time, and by the way, Johann
Yes.
full time really does mean full time. He's not a 9 to 5 guy Monday to Friday.
No.
He's 24/7. This guy's always working, always developing, which I love. But
Yeah.
I'll hand it back to you, Jason.
Well, I mean, you guys answered a lot of the questions that I was going to ask. I mean, the why you left. I mean, Jeff sounds like you stole him, and kind of, you sure he left very momentarily to have a little break, and then obviously came over to the dark side, or however we want to call it. So, no, I think that was great. Honestly, Johann, you did a great job, kind of capturing that whole thing. I guess to really
Cool.
summarize, why you chose, M2 or
Mm.
Wuhan, whatever we're calling it, the whatever name it was when you joined. So were you looking at it as more of a, hey, this is an industry I can really see me being an impact in, and also see the growth? I'll leave you with one thing, and at one point I was talking to a fashion designer, and they said
Yeah.
what fueled them, and they went from making shirts and other stuff to t-shirts, but they said
Mm.
what was a big fuel for them is they could actually picture tons of people using their product. And was that kind of
Yeah.
fuel? Obviously you're the one designing it.
Um, so as a designer and an art director, I think it's always for important for us, to have new challenges, and to be challenged creatively on a creative level. So that's why I kind of changed as well. You can only do so many, coffee packaging designs, or make so many social media ads regarding coffee. You come to a saturation point where everything, and then it gets boring. And as a creative, you never want to get bored, and you want to challenge yourself, and you want to do some good in the world. So that's basically what it comes down to. That's why I changed, and that's my fuel, so to speak.
But
Yeah.
what's very interesting too, Jason, is that in Johann's growth as an individual, he was, you would categorize him as a graphic designer. Most people would, and they would put them in that box. And when we spoke, I said, well, what I need that, certainly visual communication, and that I need all that, but I need someone also on the product innovation side. And then that's when Johann said, wow, that's cool. And what was so neat was when I introduced Johann to, for instance, the ARC and Dr. Koch there, and I said, you know, here's what we're doing with the medicinal mushrooms. And he started having these really cool tasks of, for instance, putting together, you know, the protocol, what we may need for the white paper on the mushrooms, and not the psychedelic mushrooms, but on the medicinal mushrooms. And I mean, Johann was great. He's going, oh my God, this is the stuff I love. And so it's not just about designing, it's about learning the science about why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then putting together, I mean, he blew me away with this paper he put together. And it was a brief for them from which they then use to do the work they do. And it was great. Johann said to me, listen, I've never done this, but I'm willing to learn. I'll do the research. Give me a couple days and I'll have this thing figured out. And man, when he sent it to me, I'm like, dude, you're almost like a scientist the way you wrote it.
That's so funny, Jeff, because you're saying that. And I mean, I was so intimidated by all these big medical words, you know, but like I said, again, it's a new challenge, you know, it's something new to do. You know, as a designer, you have to, and an art director, you have to understand the content before you can actually create something, you know, that's relevant to your consumer. That's the bottom line, you know. If I've seen it a million times with some designers, you know, they don't have a clue what they're designing, you know, in terms of the content that's been given to them, you know. And once you understand the content, then you can actually do a design that's relevant and beautiful in that case, and capturing for your market.
So I have a big question, Jason and Johann, which I'm always fascinated by, and that is, how do you take an idea, a concept that's been verbalized to you? And I do it to you all the time, Johann, and I'll say to Johann,
you're the best in that.
Yeah, without writing anything down, I'll leave him an audio message to say, hey, here are the 3 products we're going to be doing, XXX. I'll give him my description. And he'll just respond to me and say, yeah, okay, I got it. Give me a few days and I'll have a few samples for you. And that's it. And then he comes back and we iterate on that, But how do you take that and actually do it? I know I could never do it.
Maybe give an example too, Jeff.
I'm not inclined that way.
You know, of those 3 products you said, you know, pick one, and then, you know, maybe we go through kind of what was the process behind it.
So let's take the energy shots for instance. Medespresso, we're going to launch a new energy shot, you know. So if Jeff tells me, for instance, listen, we want X, the energy shot, we want it for this consumer, and that, I think it all boils down to research and your understanding of the brief. So if I don't understand, you know, then obviously you need to go and do some research. You need to read up on your consumers. You need to read up on your competitors. You know, you need to go and see what's out there in the market. You need to see which categories, you know, you want to position yourself in. It's actually a very long list of factors you need to consider before you do any design, before you even open up your design programs, you know. So it's all those things that comes into play when you're designing something new and fresh.
And what about when you get stuck? And when you're writing a book, it's called writer's block. So what about in the visual communication, graphic design side? What about when you get stuck and you just can't do it? What is that light that turns on either now or in a day or two? When does that happen, and how does it happen?
I'm very glad you asked that question, Jeff. And it happens to every single designer and art director that's in the industry. You tend to work and you get that block. For me, I make a conscious decision just to shut off. I switch off everything. I take a walk, I rest, you have to, and then you come back to the problem and reevaluate. Also, another thing that kind of works for me is I ask people what they think. For me, I like feedback. Even if you don't have a degree in design, or I'll ask my grandma what she thinks. I'll ask as many people as possible what they think. So and then you kind of get a collective understanding of where your design is positioned or your product is positioned in the minds of others. And from there you can kind of move forward and move on, and then make the changes to fit where to fit the product where you want, or to position the product where you want it to be. So that for me, that's kind of my process if I encounter a block or problem.
So that's really interesting, Johann, and thank you for sharing. And
Mm,
another thing that always fascinates me is you can go onto these websites like a Fiverr or something like that, and you can buy a logo for $5 that someone's going to design in 5 minutes,
mm,
$5. Here's your logo, and it kind of looks okay, whatever it is. The owner of that logo now gave no thought or consideration as to
mm,
what does this logo actually mean, but he's got something or she has something. So they feel
yes.
like they have something to work with. What's the
Mm,
difference between a $5 logo and a guy that's actually put the work behind it in terms of everything that you would consider, all
yes.
the considerations that you mentioned before, and that type of a logo and the
Mm,
branding and the communication of a
yes.
new, like us. I mean, with our new
Yes. Yes.
M2Bio logo, like what is
Mm-hmm.
that beautiful thing that you put together for us? How did that all start?
So for me, if once I start doing a branding exercise, like your logo is obviously your first step. So for me, you kind of have to think, in advance. Where do you see this logo being used? So will it be for web? You have to consider all the platforms that this logo is going to be displayed. Um, and where it's going to be used, and how people will see it, and where people will see it. That will kind of determine, you know, um, what shape it'll take. How many different um, iterations of that same logo. Let's say whether it be a stack logo or a horizontal logo, or even just the icon. You have to keep that in mind. So I think from that kind of separates, having a proper designer uh, do your whole branding and corporate identity manual for you from just a $5 Fiverr logo. Um,
Right.
you need you need to for me like the way I approach the new M2Bio CI. Before I did any kind of product design or web design or anything, you saw, Jeff, we did the corporate identity manual first. You have to set rules um, for your identity before you apply to anything. You can't just slap a logo on a website and in 6 months it doesn't work, or whatever the case, or your social media posts. So you need to keep that in mind. You have to think for the future.
And Jason, I'm hogging the interview, but I'll let you get back.
Mhm.
I got one last question that just came to mind, and it'll be a quick one.
Mm.
Johann, as a designer, do you walk around all day in your mind and look at logos and stuff? Go, oh my God, that's terrible. Oh my God, what's wrong with that? Is that what goes through your head all day?
Absolutely, every single day. I would walk down the street, and I would actually look at some of the signs, that people have on, coffee shops or whatever, and I'm like, wow, that kerning is horrible, or wow, they actually did a great job, like look at the leading, look at the letter spacing. It's things that I notice. Yes, I do.
So,
Absolutely.
so that
Um,
is fascinating, Johann. When I walk down the
yes,
street, I look at businesses as I literally walk down. I've been doing it forever, and I say,
yeah,
you know what? That business just isn't going to make it. That guy should hand me the keys right now. Close up.
mm,
That one, that's a
mm,
good idea. Boy, this guy could do this and be so much better. And
yes,
frequently, I actually walk in, and I'll
mm,
walk in and introduce myself. Hey, how you doing? Just to get a feel for, why
yes,
these businesses, like what made the person think that this was a good idea to open up a business? Because
yes.
so many of them, I cringe and go, oh my God, this just isn't going to work. So,
Yes.
Jason, back to you. We've forgotten about Jason here.
Oh, it's funny. Hey, you're doing a great job,
Yeah.
Jeff. You're slowly pushing me away. You'll be able to do these by yourself. But
Yeah.
really, I mean, it's extremely interesting. Obviously, hearing the
Mm,
fact that that was a great question. You know, you look around, you go, "Yeah, I don't know if
mm,
I would have packaged something like that," or "Oh, this doesn't have this on it." And I love
mm,
the fact that you're talking about the future. I think the biggest thing you miss when you pay for a Fiverr logo or Fiverr design. I mean, hey,
mm.
I bet you a lot of people watching this have paid for a Fiverr design of something.
Yes.
And a lot of the times they're like, yeah, well, I've got my 10, like, kind of, I guess, platforms or 10 things I start from, and then they make a little
Mm,
change, and here you go, here you go. They're not looking at where it's going to be used. So extremely interesting. You know, I
mm.
was always curious what separated, I guess, a
Yes.
Fiverr logo from a
So,
big brand like
yeah.
design company, and then what you're doing.
No, definitely. So saying that, I mean, a Fiverr designer, he's not going to be emotionally invested in your company at all. I mean, he doesn't care, if you have one change or 20 changes, he'll do them, but in 10 years, he won't have it's like, if you buy a TV, it's basically, it comes down to after sales support. So it's the same with design. If you made a logo for somebody for $5, you won't care, what they do with that logo. You won't care if they even if you because most Fiverr designers will actually give you some kind of corporate identity manual, but they won't care if you if you use if you use it correctly. So it's let's say if uh, so for instance, I made the corporate identity manual for M2Bio, but I'm there to make sure that it gets applied correctly. So let's say we use a third party to do our printing, or I'm still there to check up on them if they do it correctly. You understand? Whereas if you get a guy from Fiverr to design your logo or your CI, the, the customer doesn't know anything about design or printing or whatever the case, all the processes behind it to do it properly. So saying that, if the customer um, just does his own thing without that support of a 24/7 designer and art director guiding them, the brand is just going to get lost and it's going to get warped and weird, and it's just not going to work in the long run.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, good point. Obviously, you have to make sure you're using the logo or whatever the correct way. You know what is
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to me, and Jeff was kind of asking similar questions too. But let's talk energy shot for a second. I know when I go to the
So,
when I go to the store and I think energy shots, obviously you have your Monsters, your Red Bulls, whatever else.
mm,
I think a vibrant color that stands out. This that. What
yes.
goes into when you're making the package? What are the important things that when making the M2 energy shots, you were like,
Mm.
"Hey, I need this to be in here. I need this to be in here." What was the, "Hey, this is what I wanted," and then obviously it came together.
I've got to
Um,
jump in for I've
yeah.
got to jump in for 1 second because it is so timely, Jason. You're asking that question. Um,
Mm,
Johann had done some preliminary renderings of what it might look like, just like we always do with all these things, and they
mm,
looked great. But then we had a discussion at it was 5:30 this morning. We were
yes.
discussing about design, and he said,
Yes.
"What about this?" And I thought, wow, you know what? I like that direction a lot. And he said,
Mm,
I think it suits us more. And it's much different than what you just mentioned. The
yes.
standard, power shot that's, the big vibrant orange, reds, whatever it might be, looks like a towering inferno. Johann said, what about something like this? And I said, dude, you nailed it. It suits our brand. It's who
Mm,
we are. And let's go with that. And he said, I agree. Boom. So we had that exact conversation this morning, so I'll let
yes.
Johann, now answer it properly. I mean, I had to step in because we were just
Yes.
talking about this 3.5 hours ago. Crazy.
Yes. So Jeff, you're absolutely right. So in terms of the energy shots, we first of all because we kind of nailed it down to two categories. So the one being the nutraceuticals category, and then the one being the kind of Red Bull energy category. So So the one being the vitamin and the one being the Red Bull. So it's all about positioning, where you want to position your energy shot. Are we going to go with, for instance, more towards the Red Bull kind of energy shot vibe? That will have more vibrant colors, more bold fonts, lightning and fire and all that. Or we position it more within the vitamins and pharmaceutical side, which will have a cleaner look, cleaner fonts, just cleaner in general, a bit more white, not as energetic. So it's all about positioning and looking at who you want to target. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean, you say it, and I guess to give people an example, on one side you've got Red Bull, on the other side you have like 5-hour energy, which is not that exciting of
Yes,
a bottle. It's like whatever, black, yellow, and red. So
yes.
obviously, that's more the angle you guys are going down. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I don't want fire, I don't want lightning, what are the things that you're like, hey, well, this is what I want on the bottle?
Great question. Love it.
So yes, so once you establish in which category you wanna fall. So let's say you wanna go for the 5-hour energy, which is also in your kind of Red Bull category. From there, you look at your competitors and what their designs look like, and then you want to differentiate. But you don't want to differentiate too much that you're not relevant in that category anymore. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And the same actually applies for any packaging design.
So are you saying that and sort of cut you out, or cut you off? Is it more like you can't be too different? You're
Yes,
already, trying to do something
absolutely.
obviously different, but
So
yeah.
yes, so there's points of parity and there's points of difference. That's where, and you have to find that balance within the design and
Interesting.
branding and positioning for
So
for that
people
matter.
that are looking out there as a, hey, like, let's say I wanted to make, I don't know, call it whatever, my own cotton candy brand, hypothetically, right? And
Mm,
when I'm looking at a logo, well, it's best to, use similar things and also a little bit of different things in order to stand out, not just be completely different.
yes, no. So um, for you have to understand that there are certain cues on packaging and design in general that consumers look for. So certain like little clues. So for instance, in the energy shot category, they'll look for that lightning bolt, or they'll look for that Hulk green color, that tells them, okay, listen, or that bold font, that italic bold font that says, okay, this is an energy shot. I'm going to get a lot of energy from this. Um, so there are cues within a certain category that you have to adhere to and follow. So the product is positioned in that category, but there's also things you can change, to differentiate from your competitors. So yeah.
Yeah, no, well, hey, I think that's extremely interesting. The point where, like, if it was me, obviously I'm no designer. Hey, I'm trying to
Mm,
go, super crazy, mix it up, but then I guess I'd fail.
yeah.
But like you said, consumers are used to certain things, and that's why, they would be looking at you, and then you add in your little bit of spice, a little bit of how you're different, and then you stand out. So
Yeah.
extremely interesting. Obviously, packaging and design is extremely important. I'd love to talk about the importance a little bit more. You can have a great
Mm,
product with terrible branding and fail. And you can also, I mean, in theory, you can have a terrible product and great branding and be successful. But I'd love to kind of get
mm,
your insights on, how important is, packaging and design, and if you have even any examples of
mm,
previous, work that you've done where a product you thought was great but had, relatively speaking, bad packaging, and then obviously they did a revamp and then they saw success. Do you want to talk about
mm.
anything like that?
Um, yes. Okay. So first of all, I just want to come back to your first point. If you've got a terrible product with great packaging, you're still going to fail. So for me, you always have to have a great product, and that's why I'm glad I'm with M2Bio. I know for a fact that our product is always going to be 100%, because at my previous jobs I was always concerned, do I have a good product? Do I have a good product to go with my great packaging? in this case, I know I'm going to have a good product, so I'm confident to design very nice packaging. So yeah, that's the first thing. You know, you have to have a good product. Doesn't matter what the design looks. If you don't have a good product, you're going to fail. In terms of what's the next question? Sorry.
I'd like a case study of
A case
maybe,
study.
yeah, like maybe a product that went to market that failed, they came back, they revamped it.
Hmm.
You know, I would point, I mean, me personally, I would look at, you know, the Apple iPhone in the early days. I mean, when it first came out, people were like, whoa, what's that, dude? That ain't gonna work. I mean,
Hmm.
look at these famous statements by guys like, you know, Bill Gates. Ah, who's gonna need that, you know, machine? That, you know, who's gonna use one of those? And you know, things like
Yes.
that. I mean, and it's also interesting on the differentiation between products brands. I mean, listen, the Samsung phone, the Samsung 10 or 12 or 300 or whatever it is nowadays, versus the iPhone 6000 or whatever version they're on. I mean, both these phones look pretty much the same, don't they? And you
Yes.
know, and you know, it's more of a people buying Apple because they're used to it. They've grown up with it. They
Yes.
love it. But do
Yes.
we really know the average person? Do they really know the technology that's inside that phone? No.
I
So,
don't think so. Yeah.
but anyway, I'll let you go on, Johann.
Um, yes,
Yeah.
sorry guys, you're putting me quite on the spot here.
Yeah, well, here, I mean, think of a case study, or even, I don't know
Uh,
if you worked with one that if you had, this would be perfect, just to map it out,
mm,
is a product that had met packaging. They were doing, even if they were doing okay, they don't have to be failing. They were doing okay, and then they got a revamp. And it doesn't even be something you did yourself. It could just be a company you know of that, hey, they revamped
mm.
their packaging, and bam, they're they started crushing it, or they started seeing big improvements.
Yeah, okay. So I actually want to tell you guys a funny story. When I worked at Lara in the agricultural sector, and you guys know there were quite a few farmers around, and we had this one farmer. He was actually a chili farmer, right? So he came in, with his shorts and his two-tone khaki, and he said, no, he's got a delicious chili sauce that's already been listed in retail in Checkers. Checkers is obviously one of the biggest retail stores in South Africa. And so he came in the one day with his bottle of chili sauce, and he said, no, he spoke to the buyers and the guys at Checkers, and they told him, no, that he has to come to a design agency and a branding agency and rebrand his product. He did his own labels, off an inkjet printer alone. you know. So he came in and we sat around the table, and obviously the guy, it was so funny. He didn't know anything about branding and whatever the case may be. And so he came in with his chili sauce, made us a little dip and all the, I sat around with two designers and my creative director and the CEO of the company with this farmer. And he was quite highly strung because he wanted to make money off of his chili sauce. And so we sat around the table talking about it, and we asked him, listen, what do you see for your brand? What is your feeling? What do you want for your chili sauce? And he's like, yeah, it's a really hot chili sauce. So I was thinking maybe we can put Angelina Jolie's face on it. She's quite hot, We all just started laughing, And my CIO said, okay, let's just take a step back, and so we kind of guided him, through his chili sauce, helped him get the label ready for retail, made him some nice boxes, a few different variants, and he's doing very, very well today in retail. So that was kind of one of the success stories that I would remember till the day I die. I almost died from the hot chili sauce, but yeah, it was a really funny good example that I remember, a real world that happened to me. And, this happens to on a daily basis with designers and art directors. It's so funny. And you have to understand your client's needs, and you have to also serve the brand at the end of the day. There's no point in just doing what the client wants. You have to serve the brand and set that brand up for success in the long run.
It sounds like it really was, Angelina Jolie hot.
It was. It'll make her cry, definitely.
Oh no, I
Make
mean,
me
hey,
cry as well. I don't know if I cried from the guy when he said he wanted Jolie on the label or the hot sauce. I don't know, but my eyes watered definitely.
oh, a good mixture. Well, hey, I think that
Yeah.
that's a great story. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of them out there if you think about, certain
Yes.
brands that were average and then came back and boom, now they're massive because
Mm,
they did a branding change.
mm,
And for sure they exist. I mean, I think
mm,
just thinking about it, even from a social standpoint, you definitely see some brands. Champion is a big
mm,
brand that was started out as a Walmart brand that now kind of took over a big clothing scene. Do their own stuff, do their own partnerships. Really did a much better
mm,
branding job. I don't know if you call that so much on a
mm,
design standpoint, but I would say so.
mm.
You guys were chatting a little bit earlier, about international awards for design that kind of South Africa wins. Do you guys want to touch on that a little bit?
Go ahead, Johan.
Yeah, so for Cape Town, yeah, Cape Town is quite, up there in terms of design, and Jeff has been in Cape Town for quite a while now with this lockdown, and he'll also tell you, Cape Town is one of the best cities to get inspiration from and to get your creative juices flowing. I mean, uh, Cape Town holds the design in Durban every year in South Africa, and it's just an amazing place for creatives to grow and flourish. I think I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I mean, it had a massive influence on myself, because there's so many creatives living here and drawing off of each other. It's just a hub of creativity.
It truly is. Much like Silicon Valley would be, for the high
Yes,
tech sector, Jason. Cape Town is like for the creative sector. I mean, I have never met so many people that are into fashion design, fashion modeling. The amount
yes.
of modeling studios here is mind-boggling, and how all these models travel from all around the world to come here. I mean, I had no idea. But again, that's my kind of North American, European, this side of the world, or top, top, bottom, whatever, but that top of the globe that we don't ever explore and look at, what's happening down in the other half of the world. And when I came here and noticed all these things and opened up my eyes to, oh my God, the amount of creativity that's here is just unreal. And as I've always said in previous interviews we've done, Jason, what South Africa lacks is the lack of exposure itself. So because the rest of the world kind of doesn't say, well, let's go down there, let's have a look, let's fly, 14 hours to go see what happens. People just say, well, let's just go to New York, let's just go to, London or Milan, or, back and forth, back and forth. But I got to tell you, the opportunities, the creativity here, the
Mm,
inspiration, and how every year when it comes time to the global awards, Cape Town is always winning awards for
mm.
packaging and design, best new
Yes.
product. I mean, it is unbelievable.
I mean, I don't think it's just within the graphic design sector. It's all over. I mean, there's workshops on everything. Like you said, Jeff, there's fashion design, even your artisan coffees, artisan your craft beers, everything that is creative, you will find in Cape Town. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
and that's what I love, Jason, about one of the whys as to why are we here? It's
mm,
because of that.
yes.
So it's because all these creatives truly care.
Mm,
I mean, when have you ever heard a guy like Johann, who does what he does with visual communication and stuff, talk about his passion for the brand and the need to serve the brand? I mean, you rarely hear that. You hear, creative people saying, yeah, I do their logos and I do this. Yeah, whatever. It's a 9 to 5 job. I mean, Johann
mm.
again was up with me at 5:30 this morning, going through design iterations on a power shot. It's like, who else gets up at 5:30?
Not me.
Besides Jason, who is going to bed at 5:30. but that's a whole different story. I'll have to interview you one day, Jason.
There you
Um,
go.
so Cape Town is just phenomenal for this whole creative spirit that they have here. It's unreal.
What I would love to know, you
Mm.
were doing research, looking at competitors, looking at other things on the market. Why do you think,
Yes.
the M2Bio products will be the ones that, kind of stand out or, even develop a significant market share?
For me, it's going to be about the research done, and the time and the capital we invest in the research. The packaging design is one thing, that's kind of at the end of the value chain, so to speak, but everything starts with proper research, proper investment into the research, and just getting that product 100%. I mean, we're spending a lot of time on developing these products, getting things 100%, so that at the end of the day we can serve our consumers to the best of our ability. I think that's what sets M2Bio apart from the rest of the guys. We're not just there to develop a product within 6 months, and then have consumers call us and then we don't have any answers. So basically what it comes down to is having the homework, doing the homework, getting the product 100%. And then when the consumers comes with questions, we've got our research and everything to back us up. So that's basically what we're doing here. It's building a product and developing products that's going to improve the lives of the consumer.
Yeah, and thanks, Johann. That's nice. That's powerful. Thank you. If I can add to that, Jason, which is, most that are out there trying to launch or have launched, they do a product. They package it. Some are really nice packaging. They throw it on the shelf, and they hope and they pray that people are going to buy it. Our process is much different. Our process is we do that. We also back it up with science, which 99% of the products are not doing. So that's really important to us. And then finally, it's the in-store doctor training and the video training that Dr. Anna does. So that
Yes.
when you are the pharmacist or when you are the specialist retail person working the floor, you're actually informed about what is the Dr. Anna product line or the Medspresso product line and why is it good? What does it do for you? So when a customer comes in, they're navigating, going through the store and they say, hey, I'm looking for maybe I'm looking for a CBD cream. What would you suggest? Or I'm looking for a face cream. That person is informed because they've met Dr. Anna face to face. So back in October, November, we did close to 250 visits, meeting face to face at the stores, at the pharmacies. The feedback was unreal. It was incredible, and this is when we were going out with the early version of the packaging and the early version of the formulations. People loved it, and they can't wait to get it on the shelf. So that is the big part of what Johann said earlier, which is it's not just about buying the product and okay, great, we did our job, we sold a jar of cream. It's about the entire process of follow-up, caring, so that
Yes.
customer becomes loyal and that customer
Absolutely.
shares the whole idea behind the purpose of the brand and the product. You have
Yes.
to know what your purpose is. And
Yes.
to kind of sum it up, Johann said it very nicely. And the purpose behind our brands is that we're building things to make people get better. In a nutshell, I mean, there's a proper purpose and everything, but just to sum it up, and that is what we do, and that's what we care about.
Yes. No, absolutely, Jeff. I totally agree with you. And it's about education. I mean, not just educating the customer, on an external level. You have to educate your internal stakeholders, because let's say your salespeople, for instance, your customer service guys, we're making a concerted effort to train all our people so that they can serve our consumers better at the end of the day. And if a consumer sees that you actually care on a deeper level, you don't just want to take their money and make a profit, then they're going to be a customer for life, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are always, putting science first, which I think is interesting. And now, this is the first time, Jeff, I think you've mentioned, kind of the educational part of what you guys are doing and really trying to work with pharmacists, other doctors, and,
Mm.
people and teaching them, hey, like this will help, people who are looking for this. And, at the end of the day, if I walked into a pharmacy and someone said, hey, Jason, yeah, you should try this. Well, guess what item I'm walking out of the store with, right? So
100%. And
Mhm.
you see, most people don't want to spend, most companies don't want to spend the time nor the effort to actually do that. For me, listen, I consider myself to be an extroverted person, and I love discussing with people and meeting people on a daily basis. It's part of what I do. I meet new people every day. So for me to go into a pharmacy with Dr. Anna and to meet a new pharmacist, to meet a new retail salesperson on the floor that's in that, the cream area or the coffee area, and to educate them about, what is this product and why is it good for you, and here are the 5 factors and how it can help. I love doing that. And I got to tell you, the response it was phenomenal, where people were like, oh my God, can I have some now? Can I get this? People were absolutely freaking out. And most of all, they were saying, I wish other brands did this.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Personal selling is always the best way to go. Word of mouth, personal selling. People want, especially when it comes to their health. Consumers, they expect that. They want that advice from a doctor. That trusted advice. And I think that's our goal that we wanna present with our brand, and how we want to position our brand. Do we want to be that person that they come to for for recommendations? So, for instance, my skin is like this. I've got a dry skin. Who am I going to ask? I'm definitely going to ask the guys at Dr. Anna RX, because they're the experts. That's where we want to position ourselves, and that's how we want to help people.
Yeah. Well, we touch on, kind of what makes you guys different. We were talking from the packaging, from that kind of standpoint. But I think you guys touched on a lot of other ways that you guys are different too. Just your kind of, I guess, sales process. If you're saying 99% of products don't have science, whatever that percentage actually is, but of that remaining percentage, whether it's 1% or whatever, walking into these pharmacies, I mean, who else is doing it other than you guys? Probably no one. And
You know what? I got to tell you, there are a couple brands. One is a South African brand, and I'm very, I'm not even South African, but I'm so proud of what they did, and it really resonates with me. And that's Bio Oil. Bio Oil,
Well,
Johann, the product.
I know them very well.
Yeah, it's a
I know.
body oil. It's now sold around the world. It was created
It's
here in South Africa by
yeah.
two South African young guys, and it's now a global product. They're selling just a ton of product around the world. And what I love is that they conducted the science. If you go to their website, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see that they back up their product with the science. So,
Yes.
there is no guessing. When you buy the majority of the products that there, it's like, this one's $50, this one's $20. What's the difference? I don't know.
Mm.
But these guys actually say, here's what we conducted, and here are the results we
Mm.
have.
Yeah.
You know
So
what, Jeff? Jeff, you're very right, and I think bio oil is just an amazing example. Yeah, they don't have that many SKUs, but they don't need it. They did the research, and it paid off, because it did actually help people. It did help, women after they've given birth, help reduce the stretch marks.
yeah,
It did help skin discoloration. So that research paid off, and the thing that made them so successful is, within that consumer group, the people started talking, word of mouth, and that's how they just exploded. It's amazing. So from a research point of view, it is important, and it will pay off at the end of the day.
absolutely. And Jason, I can tell you that personally, I visit every day the retail stores. Every day, I make a purpose of going to, whether it's a Checkers or wherever it may be, going into certain areas with the store. I send Johann photographs of new products like I did yesterday. And I say, then what we do is we go onto those websites, do a little bit of research on what are they, the ingredients, what looks good, what doesn't. And that's what you need to be doing every day. You need to be much like Johann when he walks down the street and sees a sign and goes, "Oh my God, what a terrible sign that is." I subconsciously am doing this all the time as well. It's like, look at that, a new immunity booster. Let me just have a quick look. Let me take a quick shot of that. I'm taking photos all the time. But that's part of what we do because we truly care. It's not about, I keep on stressing, it's not about just creating a brand or doing a white label, which, all these people are doing. And, here's my white label product. And, here's my new logo, and let's slap it up and put it on a shelf and hope and pray that we're going to have some sales. That's a recipe for failure. It is not going to work. And we're seeing that happen in the marketplace at this time. So our approach has always been totally different. And we're delighted about that. It's, we're happy that we've taken that approach. It takes longer, but we're we're serious about what we're doing.
When he's watching this, that really doesn't know the little peek behind the curtain. You say you went into hundreds of places and did kind of one-on-one chats, discussions about the product. How many people, how many of them were like, hey, I want to buy? How many stores do you think you would be able to walk into in kind of the early phase?
So what 100% of all 250 stores are buyers of our product. So we have thousands of stores lined up to take our product due to our relationship with Cafe Lux. So as an example, Pick and Pay retail, I'm not sure, how many stores do they have, Johann? 600, 800, something like that?
I think it's more. More. It's around 1,500 thereabouts.
Yeah. So, we're going to be in Pick and Pay. So that's 1,500 stores. How many Checkers are there?
Sure, Checkers probably around 2,500 across South Africa.
So there's 4,000. There's 4,000 stores already, Jason. So then if you go to the top, not the top, but if you go to the pharmacies, there are pharmacies that range, which are the private ones, and then there are the pharmacy chains, much like you would have Shoppers and things like that. We'll be Discam, for instance. How many Discams are there? 600 or something?
Yes. It's around about five.
Yeah. So we're going to be in all those, and there's 500-600 of those. So I've just named 7,000-8,000. Our touch points will be 90,000 within about 18 months to ramp up to get to all 90,000.
That's insane. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, products dream of that.
And then we're not even talking about online retail, which is Takealot, which is very much like your Amazon. And then obviously just normal e-commerce with our Dr. Anna and Medspresso product just selling off of e-commerce. So there's quite a few channels that we're going to be approaching and going into. So it is exciting times once we get to that point.
And keep in mind too, that's for just South Africa. We are and have been in talks with African countries and China and the US and Europe. There's a tremendous amount of interest in what we're doing. And I mean tremendous. So, but you need to walk before you run. We recognize that. We need to bring a product to market. We need to get the feedback from the customers. We want to perfect that first and then get all that great knowledge and know-how and then be able to translate that into a global product. So for now, we use South Africa is our launch bed. It's really our business model. Use it as our launch bed to be able to perfect things here really well.
Yeah, well, awesome. No, I think great just to give people a little taste of obviously where things are going and obviously the size of the base you guys are building already. Honestly, I think we touched on a lot of great stuff. Johann, is great having you on. He had a pretty cool background and some funny stories. We'll be able to look at again. I think it was cool. You really touched on design that a lot of people probably don't think that way. So it's nice being able to chat with you.
So Johann, it's been amazing. I love this whole conversation, and how fascinated I am by this whole creative process. And you
Yes.
also know that I truly admire your skill set and what you bring to the team. You are a critical piece of the future success of the company. I mean, I always compare you to a Johnny Ives, which nothing wrong with that. It's like, yes, Steve Jobs is great. There's no doubt about it. Apple wouldn't be Apple without him, but by the same token, Apple wouldn't be Apple without Johnny. And
Yes.
it's how they worked together to
Correct.
make great things. And I see our relationship in a similar way, and that is,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that you bring to the table every day floors me. It always blows me away. And I've, in my 40-something years of working, I've never had, that type of a kind of a relationship where you just get me, and I love that. And it's like, oh my God, this guy understands me. Good, that's crazy. So, Johann, I want to thank you for everything that you're doing and that you'll continue to do with us.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it all, and that whole. I know how hard it is, and I give you a hat tip for all the work that you put into what you do to make it great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. And thank you for letting me be part of something so amazing like M2Bio and being able to help so many people. Jason, thank you for your great hosting skills as well. It's been really fun talking to you guys. And very excited for the future. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Cool. Jason, thank you as always, buddy. It's been great to see you, and we'll all get together on our next video coming up soon. Everybody have a fantastic day.
All righty.
Cool. Thanks.